Now before you download this video, just because you love Modern Warfare, please realize I too love the game. And I think it's easily one of the best Call of Duties and even one of the best military shooters that I've played this console generation. In fact, if you look at my two previous COD videos, I basically did nothing but praise the game. Why? Because the game itself is amazing, and I haven't been this addicted to a game in a long time. It was honestly a struggle just to pull myself away from the game to make this video. However, with that said, no matter how much I love this game, it's far from perfect, and there's some serious issues with the game's multiplayer.
Tactical. I'm bored. I just hate this game right now. Straight up hate it. Alright guys, well, we are going to be wrapping up here. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, 12-minute game for 9 kills. So exciting. So exciting.
If you scroll through the game's subreddit, you'll see people either saying the game is flawless, people saying the game is awful, or people saying the game is good, but still has issues. That last group seems to be correct. The game is still incredible, with one of the best campaigns I've ever played, with that clean house mission in particular, being one that I think will be talked about for years to come. And the Spec Ops mode, while very different from the beloved Spec Ops in Modern Warfare 2 and 3, is still an incredible co-op experience, and actually quite challenging, especially those damn juggernauts. But the multiplayer, while can still be a lot of fun at times, has 4 serious issues at the moment that are holding it back and not allowing it to become as good as it can be. Now I'll make sure to cover the entirety of the game in my review later, but for today's video, I want to dive into the issues that are plaguing multiplayer, such as loud footsteps, overly complex map design which encourages camping, terrible desync for servers which is causing the cursed shoot first die first, and finally, having every game mode include SBMM, or skill-based matchmaking. Also, another issue I'll cover in the end of the video that doesn't affect everyone, but is a major issue for Xbox One X players, is the game causing the console itself to hard crash a couple times every hour, which is not acceptable at all for a big release like this. Okay, with that said, let's first take a look into some of the loudest footsteps in any game.
Less than a minute.
In most games, audio design is one of the most critical aspects that has to be done right. After all, it's one of the key senses that a game can actually replicate. It's a way for players to actually listen and adapt to their environment. Players need to be able to hear bullets, grenades, and of course footsteps to anticipate and deal with the enemies. Now, sound whoring, as it's commonly called, has been a big thing in popular shooter games, whether that be Halo, Battlefield, or Call of Duty. But the footsteps in Modern Warfare have to be some of the loudest footsteps I've heard in any game ever made. I mean, you can basically hear teammates, enemies, and even yourself within a 30-yard radius at all times. I know this game is meant to be slower paced and more tactical, with slow room clearing, but at the current moment, even if you make a high IQ flank while crouching, chances are the enemies will still hear you, and you either die before you get a chance to fire off a shot. Yes, I know there is dead silence in this game, but it's still far too loud. I don't want how it was in COD Ghost, where there is perfect dead silence, but a mix between what COD 4 and its remaster had would be much more appropriate. As some folks on the COD competitive subreddit have stated, dead silence made you quieter, but you could still be heard with it on. You had to use the perk intelligently to be effective, by either aim walking or crouch walking, depending on what gun you were using. And you also had to have the game knowledge not to go down any ledges like stairs, because that little fall would create a sound cue. That was a fantastic layer of tactical play, where smart players can get around the map without making a sound, but less informed players would make noise even while aim/crouch walking. This would be a far superior system than what we currently have. Because right now, literally any movement at all is going to cause enemies to hear you, which severely punishes playing even slightly aggressive. And instead, you're going to have the current situation where most players just camp corners and other vantage points, waiting for you to get bored and eventually push them. If the footstep volume didn't make pushing aggressively irritating, well, the map design certainly does. Map design in games is tricky. A lot of multiplayer games all have the classic 3-lane system, where each team spawns on opposing ends, and then continually fights across those 3 lanes. Of course, maps aren't actually that simple, and instead have smaller bridges going across them, buildings, tunnels, and other various cover to hide that 3-lane system. but that is a basic layout, and most Black Ops games have incorporated that. However, now in this game, Call of Duty has instead gone for a system where they seemingly just take a square or rectangular layout and then put as many multi-layered buildings in it as they possibly can, and fill those buildings with as many windows, stairs, scaffolding, and platforms to connect all of the buildings. Then on top of the buildings, some maps even have alleyways, tunnels, and all kinds of other complexities added in. While on paper this might sound cool, as this is the same kind of realistic map approach that Battlefield has, and it might seem like that'll be more tactical as you have to check every corner, the issue here in Modern Warfare is that the time to kill or TTK being so high that you can die in just a couple shots, this makes it to where you're going to be afraid to move just about anywhere on maps, or go outside the building that you're currently set up in. Because not only will enemies hear you moving anywhere with those loud footsteps, but you can be shot from just about any direction at any time. Hence why there are so many campers in this game. In previous games, you could try and predict and anticipate where you can get shot from before advancing. But here in Modern Warfare, checking the 19 possible spots you can get shot from while advancing every couple feet just isn't much fun, and even more infuriating when you realize you didn't check that one last corner and get killed by a single burst from someone's FAMAS or the OP M4A1. Also, just want to ask, why the hell is map voting and map selection gone? Because at the moment, the two maps that I and my friends do enjoy, such as Hackney Yard and Gunrunner, are almost never chosen, and instead we constantly get our least favorite maps, such as Ania Palace, Grozna Raid, Ramaza, and possibly one of the worst maps in all of Call of Duty's history, Euphrates Bridge, which is so poorly designed that every single match leads to one team getting spawn trapped. Whoever thought this map was a good idea and then tested it before release needs to seriously consider their ability to design maps, because this is just awful, and a lot of players are starting to back out of this map before the match even starts. Even if you manage to get out of spawn and flank your opponents, you still may encounter the cursed shoot first die first. This clip here perfectly shows my problems with the game. This is the experience that so many players are going to come in contact with during their playtime. Thanks to some YouTubers who are much more well versed in the field of understanding netcode, we've already learned this game has some of the worst netcode on the market, with massive input delay, as well as incredibly low tick rates, and issues of split packets. Basically just know that this game's netcode is really, really bad, and it needs a lot of work. I may not be as good at Call of Duty as others are, due to me being used to higher time to kill games, but even my friends who are dedicated COD players and play almost exclusively Call of Duty games, still will have games where they go 18-2 and then go 2-18. I and they have never had this kind of variable performance in our games before, and it's not just jarring, but incredibly frustrating, as you feel like you have very little control sometimes over gunfights. And this makes it to where you can't just tell whose gun during a gunfight is going to register the damage first, or if it'll register at all. With loud footsteps, overly complex maps, and bad netcode, you might think that's the only problems with Modern Warfare's multiplayer, but there's still one more issue that many of the COD's community has been against ever since it was announced, and that's skill-based matchmaking.
Enemy precision airstrike inbound. UAV overhead. Less than a minute.
Skill-based matchmaking, or SBMM, is an under-the-hood system that obviously tries to match you in lobbies with players that are around your own skill level or KD. This still hasn't been 100% confirmed to exist in the game, at least by the developers, but as seen by the work done by another YouTuber called Sour, who purposely tried to reverse boost himself over 5 games, meaning that he would try and only get 1 or 2 kills a match. Then afterwards on his 6th game, the players he played were awful, or bot-like as gamers like to say, with mostly all low-rank players, and he even managed to go 33-1 in Team Deathmatch. Now in terms of my own experience, like I stated, I'm really good at shooters for the most part. I had a 2.69 KD in Battlefield 3, a 2.43 KD in Battlefield 4, and in Apex Legends, back when I played the game a lot during Season 1 and 2, I managed to be around the 386 global rank as my boy Mirage. However, in Modern Warfare, I'll have games where I dominate and I'm close to the top of the scoreboard when I play with 2 of my friends that are similar skill level. Yet after a couple of wins, the types of players I play against are insane and so good at instantly changing targets and getting only headshots, you would think they're using aimbots. A recurring phrase that we all kept saying is what's with this game's player base, as it seems like every single player is just as good as us, if not better. And we talked about how ever since the first day, I've never seen a single player that is just plain bad or below average. Now I know I have no concrete evidence, but I'm fairly certain this game has skill-based matchmaking, unless every single COD player in the world is just 10 times more skilled than players in any other FPS game, and this is definitely ruining part of the experience. Call of Duty has always been a more casual-based game, and been a game that any player could enjoy. But right now, it seems like the only real casual game mode to play is Ground War, as any other mode after just a couple matches feels like you're in Diamond or Onyx ranked matches. That could be good if I wanted to play ranked and be sweaty, but sometimes you just want to play some Call of Duty and relax, not try and practice for the next COD tournament. And then even if you're playing well against really good players, your game still might not work. With what I've said so far regarding Modern Warfare, it probably sounds like I hate the game, but I really don't. This is one of the first games I've played in ages that I've generally been addicted to, and I keep finding myself wanting to play it constantly despite all these issues. So Infinity Ward has clearly done something right. The graphics are probably the best for Call of Duty. The sound design is incredible. The gun bench is amazing. The campaign is one of the best military campaigns ever made. And Spec Ops was a really fun co-op mode despite being pretty different from the old mode. And the multiplayer, when everything is working and the players aren't too high above your skill level, and on a map that's actually designed well, is one of the most addicting multiplayers yet, and the amount of game modes on display is insane. However, right now as we can't vote on what map to play, we can't separate 6v6 from 10v10, the footsteps being way too loud, the map design encouraging camping, the netcode being incredibly inconsistent at times, skill-based matchmaking ruining any feeling of a casual experience, and the amount of bugs and crashes on certain platforms, especially for the Xbox One X, is severely holding this game back from being as great as it can be. Now most of these issues can be fixed, and of course better maps can be made and added to the game, but right now as it stands at launch, this game's multiplayer just doesn't feel like Call of Duty. Now I still love the game, and you bet your ass I'll be playing it for months to come, but right now I can't quite recommend this game to everyone, as it desperately needs some more time to receive and address feedback. Okay, well that ends this video on why Modern Warfare's multiplayer has a ton of technical and creative issues and is holding the game back from being as great as it can be. So let me know what you think down in the comments, and if you agree or disagree with what I've said. As always, my Twitter account and Patreon are linked down below, and this video is made in part thanks to the generous support from Shane Kruse. With that said, let's chat down in the comments, and if you like this video and want to see more like it, be sure to leave a like, share the video, and hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you all on the next Shepherd Gaming video. Keyless Ally.